The dangers of scaling too fast. Let me tell you something that most Airbnb gurus would never tell you. Scaling too fast can destroy your business. See, when people first start Airbnb or short-term rental businesses, they see the money. They see the numbers, they see the lifestyle, and naturally they want to grow quickly, and to get more units, they want to get more bookings and more properties and more revenue, right? But very people talk about what happens when the business slows down. Because the truth is, every business moves in seasons. There's a high season and there's a low season. And there are moments when everything feels unstoppable. And there are moments when things get very quiet. Now, if you're not financially prepared to handle the slow seasons, success can turn into stress very quickly. I know because I experienced it myself. There was a time when my Airbnb business started doing extremely well. Bookings were coming in left and right. They were very constant, revenue was increasing, and everything felt like it was moving exactly in the right direction. But when success starts coming quickly, sometimes we make decisions emotionally instead of strategically. And that's exactly what happened to me. So this is the lifestyle trap. When business started doing very well, I began upgrading my lifestyle. I began buying a brand new car, but shortly after that, I bought a new boat, which I'm actually standing in right now. Now, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fruits of your labor. You work hard, and you should be able to enjoy the rewards of your success. But here's the lesson. With those two purchases, it increased my monthly expenses to almost $2,500 every single month. And at the time, that felt manageable. The business was producing the money, and everything was flowing and bookings were consistent. So in my mind, the expenses were justified. But something happened that every entrepreneur must prepare for. Business slowed down. And see, when businesses slow down longer than expected, that can be a problem. I experienced those expenses, and that created pressure. And that moment forced me to look at something very honest, my financial literacy. Because success is not just about making money. Success is about managing money wisely. And whatever you mismanage, you will lose. You can't build wealth every time your income increases and your expenses increase with it. That is the one thing, the fastest way to find yourself in a financial trap. Many entrepreneurs make this mistake. The business grows, the lifestyle grows with it, and suddenly you become a prisoner of your own success. That season taught me a very important lesson. You must have wealth, income, and financial discipline to create wealth. So the scaling too fast lesson. There was another moment in my Airbnb journey when I made a different kind of mistake. At one point in my business, the model was based primarily on apartments, and I grew quickly. And at one point, I had almost 10 apartments operating at the same dang time. Now, that would sound impressive, right? Almost 10 units, multiple bookings, multiple revenue coming in, but there was a hidden danger in that. You see, when you scale with apartments, you're scaling with fixed liabilities. Every single one of those apartments, I had rent due every single month, whether the units were booked or not. Whether the travel demand was slow or it was high, it didn't matter what the economy was doing, if it had changed or not, if people were traveling, the rent was still due. Even when business slowed down, I was responsible for paying it every single month. Now, truly, I felt the pressure of scaling too quickly, because the higher you scale without proper financial foundation, the more responsibility you create for yourself. Growth without strategy is dangerous. Growth without reserves is risky. Growth without financial education can create serious pressure. So this is why ownership matters. See, that experience forced me to look at things differently on a long-term strategy of this business. And that's where I began to understand something very powerful. In my personal opinion, ownership is far more powerful than renting. See, when it comes to long-term wealth, that is. Let me explain why. When you rent a property, you're paying monthly every single month. But that money is not building ownership for you. You can rent a property for 10 years, and you can easily spend $200,000. And after those 10 years, you do not own the property. You walk away with nothing. No equity, no ownership, no asset, no leverage, and nothing to leave to your family. Now compare that with owning a property. When you own a property, you make payments towards it every month, you're building equity, even during a slow season. In business, those payments are still contributing to something that belongs to you. You are building an asset, something that can appreciate in value, something that can be passed down to your children, something that can be leveraged. And here's another powerful advantage of ownership. When you own property, you have the ability to refinance. Then you can pull equity out of the property. You can access capital that you have built through ownership. The capital can be used to invest in more opportunities. Expand your business, you can create new streams of income. And you cannot do that with a lease. You cannot refinance an apartment. You can't pull equity out of something you do not own. That's why ownership is a completely different path towards wealth. The real lesson for entrepreneurs. Now let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with starting your Airbnb business with an apartment or rental arbitrage. Many successful hosts begin that way, such as myself. But you must be careful not to scale faster than your financial foundation. So here's the lesson I want you to take away from my experience. First, do not increase your lifestyle with every time your business grows. Let the business stabilize first. Build reserves. Create financial protection. Second, understand that business moves in seasons. Your revenue will not always be the same every month. Prepare for slow seasons before they arrive. Smart entrepreneurs will always plan ahead. Third, invest in your financial literacy. Learning more about assets, learning more about liabilities, learning more about leverage, learning more about cash flow. The more you understand money, the better decisions you will make. Fourth, the long term about ownership. Ownership builds wealth differently. Ownership builds equity. Ownership creates leverage. Ownership creates legacy. And at the end of the day, the goal is not just to have a whole bunch of Airbnbs. The goal is to have lasting wealth. So if you are building your Airbnb business right now, I want you to remember something, that it's not about how fast you grow. It's about how strong your foundation is while you're growing. Move strategically, scale wisely, build assets, develop financial knowledge that allows for your success to last for decades. Because money earned can disappear, but assets owned can change your bloodline. And that's the real wealth game. And that's exactly what we're building here inside the Airbnb Wealth Academy.